Apple also has a return to office policy, which has been in place for a while now. What benefits have you seen of that?
My sex life is pretty good these days. How's yours?
Oh, whoa, okay. That was not what I was expecting, Steve. I hope that was a joke. In this interview, Steve and I talk about the corporate world. We talk about what it's like to be Steve Jobs on the job. We also talk about the infamous topic everyone's buzzing about these days, return to office or those hybrid work situations. We also dive into a little bit of criminal activity involving Apple. This episode is pretty juicy, so let's jump right in. So, Steve, I want to talk about the workplace a bit. There's been a lot of discussion around return to office. During the pandemic, which I know you were not alive to witness, everyone on the planet was sent home to work. No long commute into the office. Now people were working from home. And they were just as productive working from home, I might add. But now companies, even your company, Apple, Steve, they're telling employees to come back into the office, even if it's just for a few days a week. So what do you think about this?
Number one, I'll come back in a minute to what really happened there, because what you said isn't exactly chronologically correct. But
wait, what? I'm not quite sure about that.
We send over, first of all, our own people that have been going over there for a long time and are very familiar with them. And second, we've hired some outside folks as well.
I'm not talking about new employees, Steve. I'm talking about having employees come back into the office when they were perfectly fine working at home.
It's a bunch of people, just like you and me, coming into work and doing their best every day.
Okay, but I'm not sure that they have to come into the office to do their best work.
And we've got a few rules, and we'll have a whole bunch of unhappy customers.
Well, if you're calling your employees customers, then yes, I would imagine that you do have some unhappy people on your hands.
And then these flurry of stories get written several months after we changed the rule because we found out about an unintended consequence.
People were working from home just fine. Sure, maybe I want to throw a bit of laundry in the washing machine in between meetings. Does that make me an underperforming employee? Does that mean I'm not working as hard for you because I'm not under your watchful eye?
We didn't think that was right. We're doing the best we can. We're making mistakes. We're fixing them as fast as we can.
Okay, but you're still going to have a lot of unhappy employees on your hands.
They go yes or no. And if enough of them say yes, we get to come to work tomorrow. That's how it works. It's really simple. As we're the enterprise market, it's not so simple. The people that use the products don't decide for themselves. And the people that make those decisions sometimes are confused.
What does that even mean?
Well, we meet with them once a quarter, and they're doing a lot. I mean, remember, they're handling way more data traffic than all of their competitors combined. Way more. And so they're having troubles. Their biggest trouble right now is getting equipment out of their suppliers so they can beef up these networks.
Oh, okay. I think this is some kind of cryptic code. That means other companies are calling people back into the office. Steve, no one is happy about it. So why are companies doing this? Why are they calling people in?
No, they call us crazy. But sometimes you just have to pick the things that look like they're going to be the right horses to ride going forward.
So, Steve, you're saying that this was a policy in the past. It worked well then, and we're going to go back to our own way.
We have the same values now as we had then. We're maybe a little more experienced, certainly more beat up, but the core values are the same. And we come into work.
All right. Sounds to me, Steve, correct me if I'm wrong, but sounds like you're saying tough shit to those employees who are not pleased about coming into the office.
They're doing pretty well, actually, in some ways, and they have some work to do in other ways.
Do you even feel bad about disrupting their comfortable work environment? Just so they can come in and work in cube farms?
Oh, no, I wish I did.
Okay, whatever, Steve. I want to switch gears a little bit. I want to talk about you working at Apple. Apple also has a return to office policy, which has been in place for a while now. What benefits have you seen of that?
My sex life is pretty good these days. How's yours?
Oh, whoa, okay. That was not what I was expecting, Steve. I hope that was a joke. I meant, how is it to work for Apple, one of the biggest tech companies in the world?
A serious answer to your question?
Oh, thanks. I appreciate that, I guess.
I have one of the best jobs in the world. I'm incredibly lucky. And I thank all of our customers and employees for letting me do what I do. I get to come into work every morning. I get to hang around some of the most wonderful, brightest, committed people I've ever met in my life. And together, we get to play in the best sandbox I've ever seen and try to build great products for people. I contribute ideas, sure. Well, why would I be there if I didn't?
Are you still contributing ideas to the company, even after all these years? Let's be honest, you've been dead for a few years now.
That's what keeps me going. And it's what kept me going 5 years ago. It's what kept me going 10 years ago when the doors were almost closed. And it's what will keep me going 5 years from now, whatever happens. Apple does one of the best jobs of any companies in our industry, and maybe in any industry, of understanding the working conditions in our supply chain.
Supply chain. That's what you're most excited about when it comes to working it out.
It's brilliant. But I'll tell you what I'm told. And I'm told this by credible people who are extraordinarily open and honest with us about their problems.
Ooh, Apple has some problems. Tell me more about that.
You go to this place and it's a factory, but my gosh, they've got restaurants and movie theaters and hospitals and swimming pools. And for a factory, it's a pretty nice factory. But they've had, if you count the attempted suicides, 13 so far this year. And it's very troubling. So we're over there trying to understand what's happening, and more importantly, trying to understand how we can help. Because it's a difficult situation. We're trying to understand right now.
Okay.
Before we go in and say we know the solution, we need to understand what the problem is.
Oh, wow. That sounds intense. So, what are you doing about it?
Just people running this company. We're trying to make great products for people. And so we have at least the courage of our convictions to say, we don't think this is part of what makes a great product. We're going to leave it out. Some people are going to not like that. They're going to call us names. But we're going to take the heat because we want to make the best product in the world for customers. And we're going to instead focus our energy on these technologies. And you know what? They're paying us to make those choices.
So, you'd say Apple is always making the best choices?
Sure.
Okay. Thank you for sharing that. I'd love to hear a little bit more about your typical workday.
And I'm making a presentation next Monday, and I was working on that presentation, and this guy starts emailing me these obnoxious emails. And I'm enough of a sucker that I want to straighten this guy's thinking out. So I start to respond to him, and he responds back. He's no dummy, and he's responding back, and we got into this conversation. It was entertaining. And then he publishes it.
Sounds like you weren't so happy with some bad press.
And it gets written up, and they get their 15 minutes of fame because they hope it will convince us to change our minds, which it never does, but they keep trying to do that. And it's unfortunate, but we take it in the chin. That's part of what we do. And we don't run to the press and go, this guy's a son of a bitch liar. That's just not appropriate for us to do.
Okay.
So we take it in the chin and we move on.
Ooh, that's quite scandalous, actually. Who would have thought that Apple could have been involved in such illegal or criminal acts?
I can just tell you there is an ongoing investigation by the DA, and I'm not current on it. But I can tell you what I do know. One of our employees, to make a wireless product work well, you have to test it. And there's no way to test it in a lab completely. So you actually have to carry them and test them out. And one of our employees was carrying one And there's a debate as to whether it was left in a bar or stolen out of his bag, but I don't know the answer to that. And the person that ended up with the phone decided they would try to sell it to somebody. So they called Engadget and they called Gizmodo. It turned out that the person that got the phone tried to activate it by plugging it into his roommate's computer, a woman. And she saw him evidently destroying some evidence. And she's the one that called the police. And that's why they got the search warrant. She called the police. And because she didn't want to get implicated, supposedly. I'm just telling you what I've been told. And so the police came and felt that they needed to grab some stuff before it all disappeared. Oh, and it was reported that the police broke down somebody's door, which they, to my best of my knowledge, never did. And so it's just, this whole thing is very colorful, and the DA's investigating it. And to my knowledge, they have somebody from the courts that is making sure that they only see stuff that relates to this case and no other cases. I believe they're taking great pains to do that. And so I don't know where it will end up. It's really up to the DA. We're extraordinarily diligent and extraordinarily transparent about it, and we're pretty rigorous about it. So I can tell you a few things that we know, and we're all over this.
Ooh, there's a lot going on there. That's a pretty great story.
And so this is a story that's amazing. It's got theft, it's got buying stolen property, it's got extortion. I'm sure there's sex in there somewhere. So somebody should make a movie out of this.
Yeah, that would make a great movie for sure. Maybe you can show it on Apple TV. So, who do you think's at fault for this?
Yeah, I can't talk about that stuff. You know that.
Okay. I didn't realize it was top secret.
We are guilty as charged of making mistakes.
Yeah, these kind of things, they can happen to the best people or companies.
Time takes care of lots of this stuff. That's what I'm told. And if you believe that, things should be getting a lot better soon.
See, I told you that this was juicy. And you should subscribe to BlatzChatz so that you can be notified when other interviews like this drop. Obviously, we lost Steve a few years ago, and I'm creating these videos out of fun with complete love and respect for Steve Jobs. I'm an Apple gal all the way. Oh, one more thing. Let me know what you thought of this interview in the comments.